a reflection on the ongoing conflict in Palestine. The war in Palestine today did not begin overnight, nor can it be reduced to who fired the first shot. It is the result of a long, unresolved conflict that began when historic. Palestine was divided, a separation that left generations searching for peace in a land once shared by many faiths and peoples. Who and when? The beginning of division. Before 1948, the land known as Palestine was one territory, home to Arab Palestinians, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, living side by side under British rule. After World War II and the Holocaust, Jewish migration to Palestine increased as survivors sought refuge and a homeland. In 1947, the United Nations proposed dividing Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem as an international city. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but Arab leaders and most Palestinians rejected it, believing it was unjust to divide their ancestral land, especially when they were the majority population. When Israel declared independence in 1948, neighboring Arab nations and Palestinian fighters resisted, sparking the First Arab-Israeli War. Israel won that war and claimed more land than the UN had originally proposed. More than 700,000 Palestinians were displaced, becoming refugees in neighboring countries or within their own homeland. That wound, called the Nakba catastrophe by Palestinians, has never healed. The division of Palestine tore apart families, communities, and traditions that had existed for centuries. What was once a shared land became a map of borders, checkpoints, and separation. The people who once lived side by side became divided by fear, politics, and ideology. For Palestinians, the loss of land and freedom created generations of displacement, poverty, and frustration. For Israelis, surrounded by nations that once opposed their existence, it created generations of fear, defense, and military dependence. Both peoples carry pain that echoes across time, different yet deeply human. The unresolved conflict since 1948, wars, uprisings, and failed peace talks have come and gone. The central issue remains. Two peoples claim the same land. Palestinians live under occupation and blockade, while Israel maintains military and political control over territory that Palestinians hope will one day become their state. This imbalance of power has kept peace out of reach. Israel defends its actions as security measures. Palestinians see them as oppression. The world debates justice, yet the people living in the middle, families, children, elders, continue to suffer. Why it got out of hand this time? The most recent escalation in Gaza did not begin from nowhere. It was the breaking point of decades of frustration, fear, and unhealed wounds. In October 2023, Hamas, the group governing Gaza, launched a major attack on Israel. Israel responded with overwhelming force. What followed was devastation, not only in Gaza but in hearts around the world. To some, it looked like another war. To others, it was the eruption of 75 years of unresolved grief and division. When a conflict remains unhealed for generations, even a single spark can reignite it. The religious and biblical beliefs. This land is sacred to billions. For Jews, it is the Promised Land, a divine inheritance mentioned throughout the Hebrew Bible. For Christians, it is the land where Jesus walked, crucified, and resurrected. For Muslims, it is home to Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam. Because of this, many interpret the conflict through biblical or prophetic lenses, believing it holds divine meaning. Some Jewish and Christian groups see Israel's modern statehood as prophecy fulfilled, while many Muslims see the defense of Palestine as a sacred duty. But the danger lies in letting spiritual belief justify human suffering, forgetting that no scripture calls for endless war or pain. The political and financial web beyond faith, politics, and money sustain this conflict. The United States and several Western nations give Israel billions in military aid each year. Israel, in turn, buys weapons and technology largely from those same countries, creating a cycle of profit for powerful industries. Meanwhile, Palestinians receive humanitarian aid but little real protection. Their voices are often silenced in international politics, and their suffering is used as leverage in global power struggles. For America and its allies, Israel is a strategic partner, a foothold in the Middle East. For Israel, this alliance means strength and security. But for ordinary people, both in the region and abroad, it often means seeing resources spent on war instead of education, healthcare, and peace. The human cost amid religion, politics, and money, the greatest loss is human. Innocent families, Israeli and Palestinian alike, continue to bury their children. Homes are destroyed, generations traumatized, and hope becomes harder to hold on to. It is not simply a war between two nations. It is a spiritual wound on humanity itself. Closing reflection: the conflict in Palestine is not about who started it, but what was never resolved. It began with a division that split one land into two realities, and it continues because neither side has found justice, equality, or safety. Until compassion outweighs power, and until faith is used to heal rather than divide, peace will remain distant. But one truth endures: the Holy Land was never meant to belong to one people alone. It was meant to remind us that all life is sacred, and that peace is the only prophecy worth fulfilling. Beyond history and politics, this is about the human heart, about how easily fear turns to hate, and how desperately love wants to return. No side owns suffering, and no people own God, until we remember that peace is not given by borders, but by understanding. The cries of the children will remain our shared echo. May compassion rise where power once ruled. May the land remember that it belongs to no one and everyone. May peace one day return to the Holy Land.